Dahlias are delicate. They're not one of those things like you have to commit, you have to see it through, or it's all for naught. Hey everybody, in today's episode of What the Heck is Going On Here, it is pouring rain. And the weatherman has changed his mind and decided that we're going to get freezing temperatures in the next couple days, which means we need to get our dahlias out of the ground or protected immediately. We're going to be making sure that everybody has their tags identified. We're going to be digging up whatever we can to process and then protecting the rest of the gals. So we'll check back in a little bit and show you how it's done. Do our tagging. Basically, what I've done is I've just gone through and I've numbered each different flower variety so that I can process it and have it stored in the barn in a way that's organized. These little white balls, we bring them up. We're like, okay, yes, we know that it's that. We're just gonna tighten the tag on so it stays. I leave it loose like this throughout the year just because I want to give it the space that it needs to grow. Sometimes, like this stalk isn't very thick, but some of the stalks get really, really big. And when they do, we don't want to choke them out. It's actually called girdling. You can do it to trees. It's really terrible. It takes them out. You can do it to plants. So to avoid that, we leave a huge space in the tag that we're doing. And then right before we cut it, we just tighten it up. Where's my dinky hoopies? Okay.
Where's the dinky hoopies?
The sharps! They're stabbing me. I should know where they are. She's just, okay, hello. She's like, if someone could please cuddle me. Can I get a shot of you girls right now because it's the cutest? You're gonna be on my Instagram, Heather. This is beautiful. It's raining so hard. Whenever I'm digging up my tubers, I always like to start at least a foot back because these tubers can grow quite large and you don't want to snip them off. It's better always to be further away than you need than too close and snipping off your biddies. Nobody wants that. And you never want to force it. They're kind of delicate in there. Sometimes if you rip it out, then you're going to have all your tubers left in the bottom. And if they get ripped out when they're in the soil, that leaves an open wound that bacteria and stuff can directly enter immediately. And you're way more likely to have your tubers rot over winter and have nothing to plant in spring. So you want to make sure that the whole plant can move when you pulled up your shovel. You don't want there to be any resistance. So you're ripping out the tubers. So you come up underneath. Oh, fuck. Don't do that. That's what you don't want to do. Oh, she was rotten.
Oh, she was having a bad day.
She was rotten. Here's an example of what not to do. Okay, so this is a perfect example of a shitty situation, okay? This gal was rotted in the center, which is unfortunate. It could be a lot of things. So when you look, this got so big, right? It actually made all of these different plants. So each one of these tubers, I should be able to save from this piece here. Some of these I might be able to save as well. These ones look like they're okay. But because her center rotted out, it's looking pretty bleak for this gal. No good, number 4. No good. Okay, we're going to set that aside and we're going to dig up another one that hopefully works this time. All right, this guy. This is the guy. I can feel it. Okay, so. You son of a biscuit. Please be good. You are my favorite in the whole yard. Oh, okay. Thank you. Now that we've pulled this gal up, we can see that from where we started with only one tuber, we've actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, potentially 7 viable tubers for next year. These ones sometimes do a thing, but for the most part, these itty bitties are no good. The cool thing about it is, though, that dahlia tubers are actually edible. They were traditionally processed like potatoes, and you can roast them. I am not a fan of how they taste, but I mean, in a pinch, if you were starving, you could eat a dahlia tuber. So, she's looking beautiful. I think she's going to store really nice. So we are officially on our way to Rhonda's to go share some of our extra veggies with her animals. So I'm excited to get to go up there and meet them all. She's got geese and goats and donkeys and all sorts of good stuff. And she has some haskap berry bushes that she doesn't want anymore. So we're gonna pick up a couple of them. Let's see how it goes. It's going down. Hi, everybody. How are you?
Oh, they're following you. Emily, they are following. They know.
Look at you. Hello. What is this?
Oh, little baby. Oh, gosh, you bit my finger. Look at the size of you. You're so fluffy.
Hi. All right, we gotta go dig up those haskap bushes, pull them out and get them loaded, and then we need to get back to the farm to finish our tasks before it freezes, because it is friggin' chilly. So here we go. You guys have a wonderful day. Some nice snacks for all of you.
Brilliant.
We did it. I'm washing these dang tubers. It is the end of our day, and it was considerably wetter and colder than we anticipated. So it's been a crazy process. We got all of our tubers protected so that the hard freeze that's coming won't affect them. And these ones here, we got dug up so that we could show the wash process, and we're gonna come back to these ones tomorrow and do the division.
Pump up the jam. Pump it up.
Well, my feet are jumping. Okay. Now we're setting them here to dry. I like to set mine upside down a little bit so that, because water can get stuck in here. So I just like to set it like this so that it's not sending more moisture to it. And then I'll just let them dry overnight. And we'll be back again to see you guys tomorrow.
Okay, you're good.
Okay, so we're getting back to it. Yesterday was crazy. It poured rain, the wind was insane. We actually wound up having a power outage, and power outages all over town where trees went down all over the place. So lucky for us, the power came back on in the middle of the night, so we stayed toasty warm. And today we're gonna get to finish up all the stuff that we started in on yesterday. Dig another good-sized hole right here. I'll back the truck up right to here, try and avoid the hole. So move the hose, move the pipes, get 2 shovels. Oh, Lord, it's cool.
Okay?
Smacked in the face, no big deal.
No eyes?
No eyes.
Okay. Which direction?
Oh no! So I dig the hole bigger than I need it, and then I backfill floof so that these terribly abused roots that we just ripped apart have somewhere easy to take hold. Grass will tuck back on top. So if you take something fluffy,
Yeah, another scoop of that. Oh, yeah.
What's with the smashing?
what's with this?
smashing. Hulk smash.
Well, lets me know if I have any empty pockets. When I'm going around and doing this and it feels solid underneath, then I know that there's soil. I've gotten it all the way in there. But if I get to a spot and it goes down, then I know that was a hollow spot and I have to build it up. Here you can see that?
Yeah. You like that?
I do.
You like it? Yeah.
I've mentioned in previous videos how I use Comfrey Fertilizer to feed my garden. So this is just fermented comfrey leaf. It's just comfrey and water, that's all it is. And it is what I use to feed all of my flowers, all my vegetables, my tomatoes, everything. So we're gonna give these haskaps a good feed since we just planted them and we want them to have some nice nutrients for their roots. If you guys had smell-o-vision, you would want to turn it off right now. Just saying. Just saying. Oh, it's actually not that bad today. This is the gloriousness that is Comfrey Fertilizer. So usually what I do is I strain it all out. So it's ready to strain now, but I haven't gotten to that portion of it. So usually I actually get Cody to help me. We tip the whole thing super slow. We have a screen. We strain it all out, and then we just keep the juices. But I don't have time for that today. So I am just going to try and scoop some of this jazz aside, scoop up some of the fertilizer, and get moving on the plants. It's going to smell so bad when I pull this back.
To smell it.
Can you hold that right there?
Yep, sure can. Oh my lord.
Ugh.
Oh my lord.
Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. This is, again, something that I've done so many times in my life, but like, I never quite fell in love with it. Not yet.
No. Good girl. Good job not eating. No. Good job not eating the hose. Thank you.
You don't want to pour this stuff straight on. It's quite intense. I'm gonna mix it with water in here. Ooh, she smells so pretty. Okay, so, and you guys can let me know too if you want me to make a video showing exactly how I make this. Let me know in the comments. I can whip something together for sure. I love this stuff. Like I said, it is the only thing other than some seaweed that we feed to our tomatoes and everybody. And we had honkin' tomatoes this year. We have amazing production, super sweet flavor. And it's just from this stuff that we grow ourselves in our yard. So it's zero cost to you. It comes back every year. It's a prolific grower. It's an endless supply of food for your garden. So let me know if you want to see how it's done. It smells like death. So let me know if you want some of this perfuming your yard. I usually only do I'll do maybe an ounce to a 2-gallon jug when I'm introducing it. And then I build the plants up. So you never want to just shock your plants with a whole bunch of food when they've never had it and leave it. Yeah, back off. It's not good to ingest yourself. Comfrey is only good for plants or topical healing use. You never want to let your animals eat or drink this, and you never want, you wouldn't want to eat this. It smells pretty terrible, but it's definitely not something you would ever want anyone to ingest. Okay, so we're finished watering in our haskaps, and we're gonna head to the barn now and check on those tubers we dug up. So we're not quite dry enough yet. I just want all of this stuff in here to be dry as well. So we're gonna give it a few more minutes and we're gonna go dig some more tubers. What we did yesterday was we cut things back because it was supposed to be freezing temperatures. So we cut them back and then covered up the tubers and stalks with their own foliage so that it would protect them from freezing. You only want to do as much as you can confidently do. You don't want to get overambitious, pull up 100 tubers thinking, oh yeah, I can rip through that tomorrow, and then have them sitting for days and days. They will start to shrivel up and not last as long throughout the winter, and then you have a stronger chance of not having as many viable tubers for the spring. So I know it's going to be just me tomorrow, and I don't want to overextend myself. So with all the other chores that we have to get done, I'm probably only going to dig up maybe 15 or 20 tubers. And then that way I know that I can handle that tomorrow by myself. What we're going to do here is we're just going to try and get some of the dirt out before we even hit the wash process, just so you can kind of get some of that big stuff out. If you find a good juicy worm, savor to the gods. Yes. Okay, so these tubers are dry enough for us to cut up now. So I'm just going to show you what I have. I always clean my tools first, whether you use some rubbing alcohol or a vinegar solution, which is what I used this time. I just like to make sure that my hands are nice and clean and my tools are nice and clean so that you're not adding any pathogens in there that are going to mess up your cycle. So I also have cinnamon, which is antifungal. It has all these really good properties to it, so it'll help it from molding and from rotting out this tuber. What you want to do is make sure that you have an eye somewhere that attaches here where you know that the plant is going to sprout from. Here you can see that this tuber is broken off at the neck. So then that's when it can either go into the compost or, like I said, you can eat it. And Kirsty actually just looked up the edibility of dahlias, and one of the things that it noted was that the skin is actually what tastes quite terrible. So, and I definitely didn't peel mine when I ate them, so that could be why they're not my cup of tea. So I'm definitely going to give them another chance and see if it's something that I want to add into my diet. Who knows? I mean, I do have a lot of leftover tubers at the end of this process that aren't viable for saving for the year. So maybe we'll have an episode on that too. So I come in and I cut so you can see where this bit is here. So I would come in and I would cut from this side, and then I would cut from this side. So coming from that side, coming from this side. Now, when you see this here, you can see the tubers here. You look all the way around. Your neck is not broken anywhere. You have this area here that comes up and the spot that an eye is going to form. And this is where next year's plant is going to come from, is this spot right here. So at this point, I take my tuber and I just basically dip the tip. So if you're going to use your snips, you just want to be careful with how you do it because it's a little easier to do damage when you're using your snips. But it's just a clean cut there. Boom. Came right out. And again, you can see where this part is. You can see where the eye's going to want to come out next year. Again, we just dip the tip. Now, this one here has a long tail. I don't need it. So I snip off my tail. I mean, you probably don't call it a tail officially. It's a root. I don't know. And then both ends that have been cut are protected. Okay, we skipped step 1. Okay, we skipped it. So first thing you actually want to do before any of these other steps that I just showed you is make sure that you have your tagging correct. So we know that this one is number 5. And so we don't want to do a bunch of tubers and then have them all mixed up. Unless you want a mystery bed, that's cool too. You want to just, who knows. But we have hundreds and hundreds of tubers to do, and we definitely want to keep them organized. So first things first, you get your tag, you figure out what it is that you're working with, then do all that jazz. This here is the mother tuber. This is what we planted last year. A lot of the times you can tell by how the bottom is like this. Like if you look at this one, it's got one main root. that comes out. These ones usually have a lot woodier texture on the outside, and then they have more roots here on the bottom. And you can save them. In a lot of instances, they'll be okay till next year. I'm gonna sneeze. That cinnamon really fucked me up. Sneeze or don't sneeze, figure it out. I think don't sneeze, that's what we're going with. So a lot of the times, these mother tubers can be viable for next year, but quite often, if there's gonna be any main rot or decay, it's gonna start here. So if you clean it up and you look at it and you think, oh yeah, that's all good to go, it's all nice and clean and white in there or bright, then okay, you can try and save it if you want to. But if you look here, you can see that there's darkness starting in both of these spots, which means that that tiny piece of rot that you see there could be hollowing out the entire center by spring, and you could be rotting out everybody that's living by it in your bins, which you don't want to do. So it's always a good practice to cut off the tip of your mother tuber and make sure that both ends, if you're gonna save it, are nice and bright. We've divided this entire clump. So this was one plant, right? All of this came from just one tuber last year. Now we know that it is our number 5 tuber. So what we're gonna do, these are our bad ones. So we have them off to the side. These are all of our good ones dipped in cinnamon, and then we're just gonna come through and we're gonna number each one right now so that we know that there's no mixing it up down the road. So I just use a Sharpie and I just come through and write on it right there. I like to let mine sit out and dry for one more day after this step, just so that the wounds can dry before I pack them into whatever substrate I'm using to store them for the winter. Lots of people use lots of different things. Peat moss is something very popular that people use quite often for this, but I don't like to use it because I mean, it's not really a renewable resource. The peat bogs are so important, and it takes millions of years to make peat bogs. So I don't particularly like to use peat. I know it is probably the best thing to use. It's like a fail-safe, you know, it works every time, but at what cost? I'm not really down with the peat. So what I use is cocoa fiber. I mixed in some perlite with mine, because this mix, I could tell when I picked it up that it's just a little too wet for me. Like if I can squeeze it and it kind of starts to hold its shape, then that's just a little bit too much moisture for me to store in. So I just picked up some perlite and mixed it in because perlite helps with drainage, but it's also bone dry. So while it will kind of retain some moisture, it's just gonna even out the moisture level in the bins. That is more the texture of what I wanna store my tubers in. I just get it from my local grow store, and it is basically a byproduct of when you're getting coconut oil or you're getting coconut shredded chunks, whatever. It's just kind of like being able to use all the steps of that. What is a coconut? Is it a nut? It's not a nut. Is it a fruit? What is a coconut? Anyways, it just makes it so that the whole process or the whole food is utilized. I don't know how to call it. What? No. Coconuts are classified as a fibrous, one-seeded drupe. Drupe? What is a drupe, you might ask? A drupe is a fruit with a hard, stony covering enclosing the seed like a peach or an olive, and comes from the word drupa, meaning overripe. Okay. So coconut is not a nut. It's a drupe fruit. Now we know. Now we know. It's like I know the pain you're going through right now, but you're doing a beautiful job. This
Thank
looks
you.
Lovely. Okay. So I have a whole bunch more stuff to get up to in the barn, so I'm going to leave you all for now. But just let me know in the comments if there's any other questions that you have, or if you want to know anything else about the processes that we get up to. I'd be happy to answer you in the comments, and I'll see you again soon. What classification is a coconut? What's a coconut?
It's not a nut. It's a fruit.
You're not going to get it.
It's not? Oh, wait. Do you have the answer?
Yes.
Oh, you have it?
It's a droop fruit.
A what?
It's a droop.
Droop fruit?
Yeah.
That doesn't exist. They're not real.